Welcome to the How To Labs.
Today we'll be talking about the basics of resetting your Wi-Fi password, setting the administrative password to access it and get into it, changing your SSID, the little display name that, my network that I want to join. I'll be using an old Linksys E5400 that I've had laying around for a while. So a couple of things that we want to pay attention to when we're getting started is you want to make sure that you're connected to the LAN port, the internal network connection, and not the internet connection, the WAN port. That's going to be very important in the way that you get connected to make sure you can get to the interface. The other thing that you'll want to know is that on the bottom of many of these, it will have the whoever your provider was, if it's your ISP or your cable company. A lot of times they'll have a default username and password that they've set up here for the administrative access to your device. Once we reset it, it will go back to the factory defaults, which is often how they'll come. If you buy it retail at the store, that's what you'll see there. So what you want to do is take a look at these and see if you can log into the web interface using whatever password and username. If not, we're going to show you how to reset the factory defaults, and we'll start from the ground up. So to do a factory default or reset, you're going to look for a little reset button. In this case, there's a little, let's see if you can see that, little red button that you press in right there. And with the power cord in, power on, we're going to press and hold that little button. We're going to do that for 10, 15, 30 seconds. Longer than it's comfortable, but that's the way you make sure that you get it. So power on, we're pressing and we're holding, and we'll give it a little while. We'll go ahead and release, and then we're going to remove power. And wait 30 seconds. I've dropped my cord on the floor. Wait about 30 seconds for that, just to let everything sink and let any of the stuff on the system disappear or filter out. Not filter out. There's a word I'm looking for and I don't know what it is. Alright, we're going to call this 30 seconds. It's probably close enough, right? Go ahead and plug it back in and set that off to the side. Wait for a few minutes to everything to initialize and get up to speed. Great time for a cup of coffee. And we should be able to get back into the website. So by default, most of these are going to be set with a internal IP address of 192.168.1.1 or 192.168.0.1. You can look up on the internet and Google which one for your manufacturer, your device type, what is the default, and you can find almost any of this stuff on a web search. In my case, it's 1.1. So fire up the Firefox browser here. Let's make sure that this is a current load. Nope, still haven't gotten to it yet. There we go. All right. So opens up to the web page, my little Linksys. We know I'm accessing the right thing. It's got a little setup wizard, configuration wizard. Yes, I agree to the license. I'll give away my firstborn in order to use your product. All right, Ethernet cable is not connected correctly, which is okay. It's saying that I don't have internet access, right? I'm only connected internally, so right now I don't have internet access, so I can't get out to the internet. However, I can get to the interface that we see here, and I can configure things. And I want to do that first before I get to the internet connection. Go ahead and click next. I'm going to have to exit this wizard. Yeah, I'm just going to just keep flipping through this. So it's exit. It'll say, hey, we did not complete. You'll have to reset the wizard, reset the system to get back to this setup wizard. Okay, my way through there. All right, so through a web search, I know that the default passwords that these models ship with are the username is admin, and in this case, the password is admin, I think. Yep. Okay, so admin, default username and password. That's why it's so important to make sure that you change these because otherwise, anybody who has any knowledge of these things can get in and access your router setup and expose you to all kinds of bad stuff. All right, so now that we're in the system here, what we're going to do is we want to change the administrative or management username and password. So let's see if I can find it here. Let's see if this is right. This is not right, but there's my router name. Oh, there's my IP address that it uses. And all the interfaces are going to be a little bit different depending on your manufacturer and so forth. So you may have to poke around a little bit till you find the stuff that you're looking for. So under administration and password, this looks promising. The router password. Okay, yeah, we're going to change that to something more complex, but something that I'll remember so that I can get back into it later. That doesn't match, so that would error. Let me see, I fat fingered something. And save. All right, so enter the new password that I just created. All right, now we're back in. So step number one, we've changed the default administrative or management password. Big deal. All right, next I want to go change the SSID and the Wi-Fi password so that it's easy to remember and easy to share my Wi-Fi password with my guests or with my family or even myself when I hook up a new device. So I don't have to go get that little note that the internet company gave me and read this long, unreadable, unrecognizable string of a password. So let's go change that. We'll go to the wireless network. There's my network SSID. That's what the default is. So when I go to the search for wireless networks on a device, this is what I see. I'm going to change that. I've got a 2.4 gigahertz band and I've got a 5 gigahertz band. So we'll change, make sure we change both of those. All right, so it's not under status. Let's look under configuration. Wi-Fi, basic wireless setup, wireless security. Let's see what's under wireless security. Okay, here's where I can change the password. This is for the 5G band, and this is for the 2.4 gigahertz band. So for here, we're going to go ahead and change that to something that I'll remember. In this case, for the test, I'll use Wills space lab space test exclamation point. And I'll do the same thing down here. Wills lab test exclamation point. I like to use words or a sentence or a phrase. It adds complexity, but it's also something that I'm going to remember. And then do save. All right, now I want to change that SSID. So let's go to basic WAN setup, or basic wireless setup rather. Let's change that network name. Let's call this Wills Lab Wi-Fi. Now this is broadcast, so anybody with a wireless connection or a wireless transmitter receiver will be able to see this. So maybe I don't want my neighbors to know that this one is mine. So instead of Wills Lab Wi-Fi, how about we just put Lab Wi-Fi for both of these, and this is the I like to know which one's which. So I'll do 5G, labs Wi-Fi, or lab Wi-Fi 5G. And then on the 2.4, we'll just do lab Wi-Fi. SSID is broadcast. That means it's being constantly beamed out so anybody can see it. If I deselect that, you'd have to know what that SSID is in order to access the wireless network, the wireless connection. All right, so we've changed the administrative password, and we've changed the SSID, the broadcast name, and we've changed the wireless password in order to join the network. One other thing that's very interesting, and at least on this device, I have the option for guest access. Now, a guest network is something that is isolated. So any of my devices, all my laptops, my phones, my PlayStation or Xbox connection, if I do that wirelessly, then all of those devices can talk to each other. So for example, I can manage my servers from my wireless laptop. I can manage, I get on my phone, I could get to a file share if I needed to. If we set up a guest network, that's going to isolate each device so that any connected device can't speak or communicate with any other any other device on the network. So that's great for allowing your guests to get on there. Your guests can't see your file share. Your guests can't see what other machines you have connected on the network. They can't see each other, so they can only get to the internet access to the gateway. So they can get out from your system and get out and do the things they would normally do, but they can't see anything else on your network. So this is really a good idea if you're going to have guests or other people or have a reason to isolate your network for some reason. It's a great way to prevent a lot of malware from spreading through your network if something like that happens. All right, so lab Wi-Fi guest is the default name. It picked that up. Awesome. And I can determine how many guests will be allowed at a time. I'll leave 5. So 5 devices can be on this network at the same time. And I'll go ahead and save that. And that's it. That gives us the basics. So we're set up with a new administrative username and password instead of the default admin that everybody knows about. We've set up a wireless password to join the wireless network. That makes it easy for us to share with our guests instead of that long, complicated string that everybody, the wireless or the ISPs will provide you. And that'll be on the same thing. They'll stamp it or put a sticker on your device that has that information on it. So you can change that to make it something that you can remember, easy to share, easy to type in on your TV remote when you're trying to program your smart TV, that kind of thing. So we did that for the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz band. We also created a guest Wi-Fi network to isolate devices so they can't talk to anything else on your network. And that's all there is to it. Really simple process once you know how to do it, and really important to do both to secure yourself and to make sure that ease of use and make sure you have an opportunity to take advantage of all the technology that's out there. Make it easy. If you like this, if this is a good video or helpful, please leave a like. If you want to join or subscribe, feel free to. If you have any questions, definitely please leave comments down below, and I'll try to respond to those and make other videos of interest for you. Thanks for your time, and appreciate you visiting the How To Labs.